Anna. He combs his hair forward like that because it's thinning on top, but he's not fooling anyone. I don't think I trust him. David, is it? David? Have we met before, David? Just say no. You're thinking, this guy looks nothing like his LinkedIn profile photo. Photoshop much? I don't think I trust him. Mike Wolpert. This guy smiles way too much. No one can be that happy this early in the morning. I don't trust him. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to lead a conversation on trust. This is not a speech. I'm going to ask you to participate and give us feedback. You may learn a few things from me, but hopefully learn a lot from each other. And anybody here not need trust building in their business? Anyone? Anyone so brilliant people just throw money at you? Yes, Cindy laughs. Yes. My whole business was based on that, right? Well, I'm going to talk about trust building because we all need to do it. But I'm going to break it into three parts. One is short-term trust building, otherwise known as the first impression. The next is long-term trust building. And then what do you do when you lose it? You have to do damage control. When I signed up to do this presentation, somebody else selected this image for it. I bet it was you, Anna, wasn't it? Just because you did a whole video demo on how to do trapeze. So she selected this, I didn't, but I love it. I love this photo. You know why? Does anyone think she climbed up that ladder, swung on the trapeze, and let go the first time? And trusted this dude to catch her? No? What do you think she did beforehand? Ed, what do you think? What's one of the things she probably did? Sorry, Don McRae, yes. That sounds productive, good. Ah.
What does she like about that person?
Yeah, so talk to him directly. What were we saying? Tom, what else do you think she did?
Before she got up there, is practice lower on the ground.
Oh, maybe you tested it out, right? Maybe, yeah, tried it lower to the ground. That's a good thing. Maybe she threw a mannequin up in the air to see if you could catch it. Crash test dummy. What else? What else would you do it before? What was that, Ted? She bought life insurance. How do I reduce my risk? Or at least have a succession plan after I go. So what else?
Like to, if I was her, I would want to watch other people.
Oh, yeah. Actually watch him catch other people, right? Maybe even talk to those other people. Hey, is this guy strong? Did you ever feel like he was slipping? Anything else she may have done? She probably did all those things, hopefully, before she just jumped up there and let go. And that's something to talk about today, because in your business, people are watching you. They're asking other people about you. They're testing you to see if they have trust, because nobody wants to waste time with anybody who's going to waste their time. And you don't want to have things fall apart later. That's why they're looking at you. So I did a little social media survey. This is my scientific approach to finding out what people think about trust. I asked this question: what destroys trust in business the fastest for you? And you can probably imagine these are all in order of priority. Number one answer out of 48 responses, and I kind of grouped them into 4 buckets: lack of honesty, or where I grew up, it's called lying, right? Break your word, lie to me, stab me in the back, not being honest. Those are just a few of the samples of it. The number 2 answer, what do you think number 2 was?
Lack of knowledge about your topic.
Oh, that's a new one, but good, yeah. It wasn't my number 2, but that's a good one too. How about, follow through, lack of integrity, which means, are you going to do what you say you're going to do? right? A couple of the comments. Make a promise that you can't back up. Overcommit and underdeliver. What do you think is number 3? What destroys trust the fastest? Inauthenticity. Yeah, I think it falls under integrity there, but also you're on the right track with lack of consistency. Like, do the words and the actions match up? Do you behave the same way off stage that you do on stage? And a couple of these comments. Dishonesty in anything, on the golf course, cheating on your spouse, anything rules you out for a business relationship. Being phony. If you're not going to be honest about who you are, how can I trust you to do the right thing? Woo! Anybody, we have a lot of solopreneurs and small business people here. Anyone ever try to make yourself look bigger in the market? Anyone? I know I have. Yeah, yeah. I'm a company. I'm a vast enterprise. No, you're just Mike Wolpert working in your basement. Come on. Right. And it's totally possible and good to set up a virtual company and be able to scale when you need to and all that. But be honest about it. I have partners that I bring together when I need to scale for your business. Because if you portray something different and then the rubber hits the road one day, you can't deliver. Yeah. Yeah, it's not being who you say that you are. And this is about the people watching. People are watching how you treat others. Even if you're rude to their executive assistant, you can just kiss goodbye ever having business with the boss. Yes.
And also your clients for a while, they don't. So that's not being consistent with behavior.
Mm-hmm. And Jenny, it's so good to see you back. Your legs are all healed up and everything's all good. Okay. And I think what you're leading to is the next one, which is common courtesy. Yeah, it's like when I don't get a call back in the promised time or within a business day of a promised return, changing the appointment, then the location, then change the time again when I'm not available. Like, those are just like politeness, manners, courtesy. Who taught you manners, right? Your parents, maybe grandparents, maybe other authority figures. And manners have changed. Courtesy has changed through the generations, hasn't it? Anyone notice a millennial who can have a complete conversation with you while looking down at their phone the entire time? And they don't see that that might be perceived as rude or taken away, right? Who else? Another one. Things you've noticed between the age gap. That's what 20-year-olds do today that we didn't do.
Lack of thank you notes when you've given someone a present or something. And my grandkids never thank us for a present. My dad would have shot me if I didn't thank
Yeah. Let's just say, hey, it came in the mail, right? Just tell me it arrived. It's enough. Yeah. And there, yes. Yeah. It's like, I can't call my kids. My kids are close to 30 years old. I have to text first and ask if it's okay to call. Right? Anybody else have that? It's required. Nobody picks up the phone. I don't pick up the phone anymore. I'm looking at that spam call. Right? So things have changed, and there are cultural differences too. If you do business internationally, there are lots of different norms, customs, courtesy, and manners are different. There's a book called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. Kiss, bow, or shake hands. If anybody read it already, it is the Bible for manners around the world. You look up, I'm going to Uruguay, you look it up. Okay, here's what they do, here's what they love, here's their holidays and all that. Should you bow, kiss? Which I was joking with Orica before this, like after the pandemic, I'm not sure anymore. If it's, if somebody approaches you like this, okay, shake the hand, or if they could do this, or they could do this and give you a long, awkward hug. I mean, or nothing. And I went to a conference where they made you wear a badge with a color that said, I'm open to hugs, I'm open to handshakes, I'm this, and so everybody's walking around like this. Is it okay? Is it okay? I just throw my hands out, like, you hug me, great. If not, all right. Nice. So these are the destroyers of trust. Don't do this stuff. Okay, that was my TED Talk. Thank you so much. No, just kidding. So this is a funny one. Extending a hand as if to shake, but then delivering a vicious slap to the side of the head destroys trust. Yeah. It was a joke. Ginny's like, whoa, you did that? Okay. All right. So this is the short-term trust building. And this is really anyone you meet, and if it's a presentation in a meeting or networking or in a big hall or a room like this. You're all asking yourselves, is it worth talking to this person? I got limited time. I'm here at BACN. I want to network. Wow, she is really boring me and talking about herself the whole time. She doesn't really care about my needs. I'm going to gracefully get out of this conversation and go talk to Ted, who's really good at, listening to me and my issues. Right? People are doing that. If you're presenting, especially a sales presentation, when you're trying to get your services to be paid for by a client, they're asking, should I be talking to this person? How much can I trust them? So the strategy, and this is based on lots of science, the one key strategy you have to do to make sure they believe you're worth talking to, don't blow it, right? In short term, it's like, just don't do anything that might be perceived as untrustworthy. And I'm going to talk about both verbal and nonverbal things that we notice in person and on camera. And this is where I spent the last 3 years really helping people eliminate some of the casual, weird things, habits, and movements that you do that people might perceive as, she just doesn't look like she cares. When she cares a lot, but she's not displaying it physically. We're going to talk about some of those things. So the first is just, you want to get past that initial conversation so that you have the opportunity to really earn their trust long term. Verbal things first. So this is, the chit chat everybody does just before you're logging into a Zoom meeting. You have that 3 or 4 minutes, and people are still logging in, and people are making small talk. What do you talk about? Anyone? Herb? What kind of things? The weather. Football, weather, sports, those are the top two. Anything else? Talking about you. But enough about me. What do you think of me? Right? So, yeah. So my suggestion is, when you're trying to get that little common ground chit chat, try to make it meaningful, right? Something about them, about Harry, because it's all about Harry. Is, hey, I saw you quoted in that article, and you said something really interesting. I'm going to ask you more about it, right? Wow, your team has been killing it. What's your secret sauce, right? Something that reaching out to either praise, acknowledge, or ask questions, showing an interest in other people, pays off huge. And then they're asking themselves, once you start the official presentation, right? So now, and here's David, and I'm about to speak. You're asking, okay, is this relevant to me? Or can I multitask? Can I look that on my phone? Can I maybe check my Slack messages? So I have to come out with something immediately relevant to you, your business, a problem that needs to be solved. Don't wait too long to get to it. And in the promise description, I said the way to start any meeting is make sure you talk about the problem and a promise. Problem and a promise. And the problem is something they have that you can solve. The promise is, if you listen to me, you're going to get this by the end. Right? So any presentation, even casual conversation, try to get to something relevant as soon as possible. Believe me, people can tune out so easily. Anybody been on a Zoom meeting and everybody starts with the cameras on, and they just see someone, boop, boop. Like, let's see, is Nora still on? Hi, Nora. See you.
Hi,
You
David.
all can't see Nora, but if you're logged in, you can. Yeah, that's a sure sign. 90% probability they're multitasking if the camera is on. And I have a couple of tricks that I do to try to get them on. I'll say, okay, folks, hey, before we dive into the content, just turn your camera on real quick and say hello. And then feel free to turn it off later once we're focused on the content. And I get usually 2 or 3 more that open it up, and then they just leave it on. I also say, if you have a question in today's presentation, raise your hand on camera like this. I'll see that, and your question will get answered first. It's like a visual, look like, and they do it like little 3rd graders, like, waiting. It's like, Anna, do you have to go to the bathroom? No, what's going on here? So those are a couple of tricks to try. And then I'll give you one more. It's a little nasty, kind of a peer pressure thing. Only do it with people you trust already. All right. I would love to have your cameras on in the meeting today because it helps me know how I'm doing, and I can see your questions. But if you have to leave for a moment, just turn your camera off and I'll know you're not here. Dang it, I can't multitask now. Think I'm disappearing. All right, got to be relevant very quickly and get to the point. This is, you mentioned authenticity. Dawn, I called you Ed like 3 times, right? Okay, I have an uncle, Ed, who looks exactly like you. So that's my problem. All right, so are you being real? And this is that test, like, okay, is it relevant? Yes. And now it's, do I believe you? Do you seem like, first of all, you're being a real person, just a human being. Authentic means not fake, right? Not putting on an act, not trying to be a persona or something that you think they want you to be. Now I'll ask you, have you ever been in a meeting where a salesperson is selling you something and they are putting on a show, right? And their voice suddenly goes up here like this, and, yeah, and we're the best thing in the world, right? And it's that, used car salesman. It's like, grates on your nerves. So to be real, be conversational, but project. And especially, we'll get to this when we talk about being on camera. People get too casual in online meetings and their voice drops and it's low. And if you can't hear something very well, it's hard to connect, right? So you need to speak about 10 to 20% louder than you usually do in person, right? You're sitting in your room all by yourself, staring at a little piece of plastic and like, all right, everybody. So it feels alien. But if you can do it, it comes across the other side. They give you credibility, conviction. Wow, he's so enthusiastic, right? So lifting your voice up a little bit. The number one thing I've seen in coaching hundreds of people in the last few years, literally hundreds, people talk too fast. How do you feel when someone's going too fast? Anyone? Suspicious. Why? Yeah, it feels like they're trying to get through it and get it over with. And I'm not really invited into this conversation. She's doing a speech. She rehearsed it. She's trying to get through it. I'm just not going to interrupt, even if I'm not tracking with it. What else? Somebody's going too fast.
If you go too fast, slip out something, yes.
Yeah, it's like an assumption that this is correct. That's the other thing salespeople do is they use the word right constantly. Have you ever heard that as a filler word? I know, right? It's right, right? It's like, no, I get to decide if it's right. Don't tell me it's right. Ask me if I think it's right. Right? Good. So when people speak too quickly, if you go too fast, whether it's nerves or time pressure, what have you, the audience doesn't feel like they're really involved. And if there's lots of smart people in this room who are also fast thinkers, people can't listen and process as fast as you can speak.
I've noticed the younger generation naturally talks.
Yeah, they're just, I just want to get it out. And then I'll ask you for questions afterward. But yeah.
They're not necessarily trying to put anything over, it's just characteristic.
Yeah, well, they have more energy, right? They got more sleep. They don't have creaky knees like I do. Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think generally speaking, that is true. Yeah.
Different versus different cases.
Yeah.
They're, writing, whereas so ideally we're aware of it.
Absolutely, Steve. And this training's been around since Dale Carnegie back in the 60s, right? Mirror match the energy of the person in front of you. Because there's a suspicion or lack of trust. If, like, we have people in our New York office talking to people in Alabama. Is there a difference in the general speed and patience levels of those people? Yes, culturally, I'm really generalizing here, but people in New York are like, come on, yeah, what's the point? Get to the point. And I'm fixing to tell you. And it's just So you encourage both groups though to meet the other one in the middle. And that's where you have to decide, okay, 120 to 140 words per minute is like an average conversational pace for most people, at least English speaking, native born in the United States, that's around the level. I've heard people gusting up to 180, and you can hear every single word articulated like this, and every single word is coming out, and you hear all the words, but I did not process that. So, and instead of trying to slow down, I'll get you in a second, slow down your rate of speech, instead, just pump the brakes. That's it. So if you naturally, you're a fast talker, and I get a lot of excitement, I want to get this all out, it's a great idea, I want to get it all out, what do you think? Give them a moment. If you ask them a question, even a rhetorical question, give them time to process. And you can tell yourself, I'm letting it sink in, or I'm letting them think about it. And most people don't do it, especially in online meetings. You know why? Because it feels like the energy just dropped out of the room, right? When I stop talking, oh my God, it's quiet in here. When instead you haven't dropped the energy, you've transferred it to the audience. Think about that for a second. It's hard, isn't it? See? And he was nodding his head during the pause. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, do I agree with that or not? Give him a moment. So, and up on the speed, sorry, you had a question over here?
No, I was just going to contribute to the conversation.
Yes, bring it.
Basically, I think correct or not, I don't know, but in movies, generally when boys and girls are in groups, it's the person who's talking the fastest is actually, they're trying to convey that they have a lack of confidence, or they're the weaker one in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. You look like you're nervous. That's just, you sound like you're nervous. Here's the other one, and this is part of the verbal. It's like, who do you care most about in this conversation? Harry or me, right? And you made a joke, right? And everybody cares about themselves and your own self-interest, but you don't start with that. It's always you focus language. I can help you. We help people who do this, executive. They can sense if you care more about yourself than the other. And the worst offense that I see in most of the corporate executive coaching that I do, that first slide. Well, let me tell you about our company. Nobody cares. We were founded in 1900. We have this many employees. We have all these offices. That's maybe the end if they ask you, do you have an office in Tampa? Right? It's not the first thing you say. The first is, we solve these problems for people like you, and here's how we do it. So people sense that. All right, let's talk about the nonverbal things. This is kind of fun as well. And we're going to do a demonstration here in just a moment. The first is posture. So you probably notice I pretty much stand up straight. I have a bad habit of doing this, right? Just walking around a little bit like this, just little steps. But every now and then you'll see me just plan it, deliver one thing, look you right in the eye, finish the thought all the way, and then move on, right? And the more you can lock in person and connect that way in an audience like this, just talk to one person at a time, finish the sentence, maybe even the whole paragraph. And that brings me to my next point. And I'm going to deliver it just to you. And eventually you'll get around to several people in the audience, but everyone kind of feels like you're locked in and focused. So on camera, what do you see people do on camera when they show up that shows they're not really interested? Or so you just demonstrate it for me. Show me with your body. What do people do? Yeah, oh yeah, touching your face. My head is so heavy. You're so boring. What else? Joey, is it? Yeah. So you got your hand on your head right now. So I'm thinking, oh, is he troubled? Is he tired? Does his head weigh 20 pounds? What? Yeah, yeah. And even framing up, and you'll, sorry, go ahead. Yes, that requires acting. And this is something that's probably the hardest thing that I teach, but people eventually get it, is, and you know what she's talking about? Camera's here, video's down here. So if you look up into the camera, everyone on the other side thinks you're looking right at them. 1,000 people all feel like you're looking right into their eyes. But for you to get what you need, you look down here. You see how my eyelids drop? I'm looking down. People can tell you're looking down. It's that little lack of connection. If I was speaking to this room right now like this, what are you all feeling right now? You know, I'm telling you, this is really important. It's like, I'm a lunatic, right? What is he staring at his feet? What's going on? So people need the eye connection. So the trick, I suggest, start every sentence into the camera and then look down and get your nods and smiles. Here's my sentence number one. I'm looking straight into the camera, and I want you all to know how important this is today. And as I'm talking, I'm going to look down. I see people are nodding and smiles, and then I come back to the camera again. And now I start point number two. Got that? You cheat. You look in the middle of the sentence, check your notes in the middle of the sentence, look at the people, but do it while you're speaking, and it helps them not make it so obvious. And that's the end of point number one. And here's number two. See how obvious that is? So come back to the camera. Beginning of every sentence, you'll get in a rhythm. Teach yourself to do that. Pause, take a breath, back to the camera, deliver. Pause, take a breath, back to the camera, deliver. And you'll start to learn, get some muscle memory around that. And the audience feels like, wow, Tommy, you are so dialed in today. I don't know what got into you, but you seem so enthusiastic about this, right? And all he did was look in the camera. That's it. Give him your eyes. Eyes are the key. Smile. This is another funny one. People who tell tragic stories, but they're smiling through the whole thing. What does that tell you? You laugh, Bruce. What does that mean?
Not authentic.
Yeah. Or they're super nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm going to smile through this. I'm going to tell you a horrible story. Are y'all ready for some bad news? Are you ready for it? Like psycho, right? But if you are happy, tell your face. That's the other thing I see, this stone face, stoic delivery, especially in business presentations, but I don't want to give anything away. I want to tell you, this is probably the most exciting thing we've done in the last 5 years. Yeah, is there any emotion behind that? The gesture is an interesting one because in person, we naturally talk with our hands like, hey, what up, buddy? Hey, all right. You know, I gotta tell you, it was a riot. Right? And your body gets into it naturally. We're just wired that way. On camera, what do people do? Hi. Today, I'm going to give you a talking head. I'm not going to move my hands because I don't know what to do with them, and it feels uncomfortable. I'm just going to put them down. If you back away from your camera just 4 to 6 inches, make sure your hands are visible up in this zone, and offer that with descriptive gestures, the audience will give you credit for being smarter, more enthused, more credible. They even did a study on 2 TED Talks that were very similar. TED Talks. Did you invent that, Ted? Okay. Similar presenters, similar topics, similar subject matter. One of them went viral, millions of views. The other, a couple thousand. So this researcher looked at them both with their little team of interns and looking at all the different facets of the video. Why is this one viral and this one's not? Guess what the main difference was? The viral video had 3 times as many gestures, and he smiled more. So they gave him credit for being smarter, more enthused, more just because he had his body into the act. So on camera, if you can introduce some of that, 3 types of gestures. I won't go deep into this, but when I do coaching, I really work on, because people have some annoying gestures, right? You ever been talking to someone with long hair and they do this after every sentence? And then and before long you start, oh, there's 5, 6, 7, and you stop listening to her. It's like, why is she putting her hair behind her ear? And so gestures should be intentional. The 3 kinds are baton gestures, like what I'm doing, is that's in time with what you say, right? We are not going to do that. It's like an orchestra conductor, and you're talking, and it reinforces language. And that's a good kind of gesture to do. But mix it up a little bit. Every now and then, do a descriptive gesture, right? The tomatoes were this big, right? I just need a little bit of money, right? These kind of describing the size, the sequence, things where your hands are involved. People love it. They actually believe you, especially if you're telling a story and getting involved with that. The third kind that nobody does, especially the people that are just wildly gesticulating, just nothing. Like this. This is an open palm. I'm accessible. I don't have any weapons. I'm here. You can see me. I'm transparent, right? The opposite of this is this. What does this mean? Joey? I'm praying for this to be over. Yeah, no. It's yeah, it's closed, protective. I'm cold, maybe I'm not comfortable. This is, yeah, yeah, hiding weapon. Yeah, shuriken, throwing star. So I lost some weight, hallelujah, but used to have a little bigger belly. I wasn't happy about it, and so I was doing this a lot, just hiding my belly. And this is very common. You see in a lot of corporate videos, people standing there with, I'm just going to protect myself. So opening it up means a lot more. Yes. Right now, yes, because if I was seated, you couldn't see me. You mean online? Yeah, standing gives you two things. It gives you more airflow. So if you stand up, you're not hunched over, like this is more ability to breathe. Ever had any training as an actor or a singer? What do they do just before they do something important or hit a big note? Air in, all about the airflow. So you'll get that help. People tend to gesture more because your body is already kind of engaged and kinesthetically, again, you want to avoid pacing. Is this right? So if I was doing this the entire time, Mike could be back there, there's 23, 24, 25. And looks, I'm nervous. I got to get this energy out. Instead, motivated movement, which is always start in the middle of the stage as far forward as possible. And when you tell your first example story, you take 3 steps over here, plan it, talk to this part of the audience, locking into their eyes. Now let's go back to the present. And that means this. And where are we going in the future? Here, tell my future story over here, done. Which brings me back to my main point here. And you end it like this, even leaning forward, bite your lip. Just kidding. Kidding about the bite lip part. This is the powerful part of the stage. So how does that translate to on camera? Well, you have a little frame, a little tiny rectangle stage to work with. Your hands do that. So if your hand is moving, we have 2 options today. We have option A, option B. You get to decide which one you want. So your hands are helping do the descriptive, what your body might be doing in a room. All right. We talked about eye contact already, how important that is. So let's do a little exercise on eye contact. And this is going to be uncomfortable for some of you. But please pair up with somebody that you don't know very well. Find a partner. Just look at them right now and say, you're going to be my partner. Okay. We have to get up and move around. Herb, somebody at this table needs to come over here to help Steve. Just sitting next to me. Yeah, just sitting. All right, Steve, how about you get Ted? So turn and face them straight on. I'll give you the instruction in a moment. It's okay if you know them, but all right, everybody's got a partner looking straight at them. Here it is. I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute. You're going to look into their eyes and not say a word for an entire minute. Look into their eyes. And I'm going to ask you a question afterwards. Is everybody ready? No chuckling, no talking. When I say go, look into their eyes and go. Nora, I'm looking at you. Thirty seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. And release. Okay. So somebody volunteer to tell me what you learned about your partner from looking in their eyes. What did you learn about them just by looking in their eyes? Herb is wise. Really? He didn't say anything. What made you think he was wise? Wow, all those adjectives just from looking at him. Very good. And Herb, what'd you get from Joey? He's a nice guy. He's trustworthy. What makes you think that? Yeah, was he like telepathic or what? What was it about his face? Describe a little more. A few more adjectives. Hmm. Anybody have a not so positive experience? Blink once for yes, twice. No, I'm just kidding. No, somebody else who learned something from David. What did you learn about Ginny?
Not so much about Jenny, but it's very uncomfortable, not knowing she's right. So it's not having that trust built up at the beginning, and not she's being a new person. For me, I was very uncomfortable. So, but yeah.
So Ginny, did you sense he was uncomfortable? He didn't look away? No, he just kept looking at you?
I think it's because of my business.
Interesting. Very nice. You've had training. And one more. Anybody got comments? Yes.
Like, we were laughing with each other's eyes. And that, I mean, I know Anna, but our eyes were smiling at each other. And it, to me, there's a trust there, but it also built a connection because it was like we really enjoyed the exercise of looking at each other, even though we know each other. We were smiling, laughing.
She was telling you jokes with her brain. Yeah.
Laughing.
Nice. So the only thing to notice here, go ahead, Mike. Mm-hmm. Now, in regular conversation, people look away, right? They look away like I'm talking to Ulrich and I'm like, oh, let me think about that. Yeah, it's natural to not like stare at people. In fact, that's what's disturbing about a lot of teleprompter usage. People who aren't good at it, Mike knows this, not only do their eyes do this little back and forth thing, but they don't blink. Just like, yeah, Terminator robot. Well, this guy bothers me. I don't trust him, but I don't know why. It's because they're not blinking, regular blink rate. But the other thing to notice is when people look away from you, it's immediately noticeable. Even on camera, when you look down at your nose, eyelids drop, you look away, and they're like, oh, does he not care? Like literally, it can go that fast, right? So working hard to maintain your eye contact gives that gift to your audience, right? And also it's a way for you to read the room and see how you're doing, right? All right, very nice. Thank you all for participating in that. And I'm going to show a quick video. Some of you may have seen, anybody seen this one before, Ciroli? I want you to watch what he does, all the things we just talked about, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions afterwards. And I can't do it because of the audio that I have plugged in here, so I'm going to go back to here. And let me just tell you what he does. It is a great talk. Just look up Ciroli, Italian, Africa, you'll find it. His whole point is shut up and listen, right? We're the Italians. We came to Africa. We know what's best for them. We taught them how to grow tomatoes. And we did this in this valley, this beautiful valley, and they came out and we poured tons of money into it. And then one morning we wake up and the hippos come running out of the river and eat all the tomatoes. The hippos! Why didn't you tell us about the hippos? You didn't ask. Right? So he tells this animated story, and he's confessed Italian, who he says we talk a lot with our hands, not true for all Italians. But he's so believable in this video, and you'll watch it later and see, because it's too crazy of a story to make up. And he's just so into it. You can just feel, because his body is so engaged in his face and he's smiling and all the things we've talked about. So I encourage you to watch this one as a great example. But I want to bring one volunteer up from the room right now. We're going to do some live coaching. So who here thinks they have a decent elevator pitch for their business? This is an opportunity for you to sell to the others what you do. Who thinks they have a decent elevator pitch? Just a 1 minute, here's what I do, here's my company. Nobody? Oh, Joey, come on down. Joey's coming up. Give him a round of applause as he comes up here. And you keep it going till Joey's all the way up here. There we go. Okay. This is called milking it, right? How you doing, Joey? I'm David. Okay, so they're all going to watch you present to me and do an elevator pitch.
So I'm talking to you.
You know, talk to me as if we just met at a conference. Hey, who's your ideal customer?
Consultants and coaches.
Okay.
Who aren't making enough money.
Who aren't making enough money.
Yeah.
That's everyone. Okay, so no, I've got enough money. I'm good. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, hey, what do you do? What are you all about? And then you just go right into it. And I want you all to watch the interaction between us. And I'm going to ask you for some feedback on how he's doing. Things that you love, and what, if anything, distracted you during his pitch. Are we ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hey, Joey, is it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all right. I was hoping to talk to you. So tell me, what's your business all about?
Thanks for asking. So I'm Joey, and I help coaches tell their scary truths. Can I
That's
ask you, do you have a scary truth?
I'm not sure what that means, Joe.
It means that thing that you know is true. Like you just know it's true, but maybe you're afraid to say because maybe the world doesn't understand it. They're not ready for it. But it's like, you know, it's true and you can't get it out. Do you have anything like that?
I don't know. What's the common problem that you deal with?
Well, mine is that we all have core values and that everybody should have 3. Like everybody, no matter what, you should have 3 core values because it tells a story, it allows you to be more effective for a whole bunch of reasons. But there's a lot of people out there that say you should have more than that. You should have 5, 7, 9 core values. But my truth is that we should have 3. So that's what I say.
Nice. So how do I work with you?
Well, you can set up a call. And what we do is I help people get very clear on who they are at the core. We all got something. So we help them get clear on their core, then show you how to take actions with that and then grow. And the real idea is that when you're speaking and you're talking and presenting, you're telling a story that's like a little scary to you. And the crowd knows that. So it's more engaging, it's exciting, it's energizing for you. And so you're able to just be more authentic. Because nowadays when we're talking to people, they're all checked out, kind of tired and all that stuff. But when you're on that edge, it gets their attention.
Nice. All right. Round of applause for Joey. All right. Stay right here. Right here. We're going to get some love from the crowd. What did you love about his elevator pitch? 2 or 3 people. Lots of energy. How would you describe the energy? What, on a scale of 1 to 10? 8. Okay.
New information, something I have.
Unique information. It was attention grabbing. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me more. Yeah, he seemed like he believed it. What, Cindy? He smiled a lot. And it wasn't a fake smile or a nervous smile. It's like, I really love what I do. Conviction? Oh, you noticed that. The core value. That's good. Content? Confidence. What made you think he was confident?
Joey always comes so engaged.
Yes, and I would say, and especially when I'm coaching people, enthusiasm covers a myriad of mistakes. You're so engaged with what you're doing. I just love listening to this person. You don't hear the ums, the ahs, the weird things they do, any of that stuff. Just like, I just want to hear it. So you had that enthusiasm. So anything you think he could have done differently or anything that was a distraction? Yes. Verbal or nonverbal?
Verbal. Joey mentioned that there, you could have 5 to 7 core values, but you have 3 core values. And David sort of almost said, well, what were they without saying that? I'm like, okay. And you went on. And so as an audience, I was saying, what do you mean by a core value? And give me an example of it. So I was sort of left dangling.
Okay, good. So maybe a couple of other little check-ins with me, like to see if I was tracking with him. Yes, Cindy. Okay. So what is this in body language? What's hands on the hips mean? Well, what does 2 hands on the hips mean? Could be, yeah, there's something about to happen, right? The guns are poised. What does 1 hand mean? I'm a little tired. I'm relaxed, or this one's not. What's wrong with that one? This one was going all over the place, right? And people learn these patterns like growing up. I'm a symmetrical. You may have noticed this about me. My hands do this like all the time. So I have to literally put one down and do one at a time and switch. And you do it on camera. It also has a little visual variety. Oh, it's coming from over there. It's over there. It's not, anything that gets repeated can be a distraction. So get both hands into the act. That's good. If you hold a microphone, right, switch hands every now and then. That's another thing you see people, or people hold the mics like this. I'm protecting myself. I'm not going to move. I'm scared. I want to get out of here. Instead of, all right, here we go. Everybody open it up. All right, let's come on in. The water's thick. Anything else? What else do you notice he did that was just a mild distraction for you? Anything?
Actually towards himself as opposed to open hand.
Woo! Very astute observation. Yes, and this is I'm giving something to you. This is, I need something, right? It's just literally that, and open and outward, everything. If you imagine your energy just being pointed directly at that person, you're so audience conscious, you have no time to be self-conscious. I'm here to give a gift of knowledge out. Doesn't matter if I have a bad hair day. Oops, I messed up that word. All that stuff gets us inside of our head. How about his rate of speech? Who thought it was the right amount? A little bit slow, fast? A little fast? What do you think? Thought it was fine? Yeah. So I thought your rate of speech was good, but you could have paused a little longer and check my eyes. Like, it's just sinking in. Right, David, are you getting this? You can even say it. Like, is that true for you? One, 2, 3. Let me answer. And this is about giving cues to your audience, whether it's a group or an individual. Everything you do means something. Nothing is neutral. It's either contributing to your presentation or taking away from it, right? So everything you do with your body, and you were facing me. I see some people that will, I don't want to engage all the way, right? Or if you're people on online meetings where they're angled just like this, obviously they have a second monitor over here, and you're number 2. I'm working on over here, but yeah, I'll talk to you for a minute. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Right, just even the shoulders not squared up to the camera makes a difference. What else yes? It was a tough question. Yeah. And I may have disengaged if I was just at a trade show or something. I'm like, dude, you're asking me hard questions. I'm busy. It's too much for me. So if you see me struggle, see my face, like you don't have an answer, well, let me tell you what most people say. Right? Help me. Right. The other thing, if you check into the audience, ask a low risk, open-ended question first. Low risk, open-ended. Like, haven't heard from you in a little while. What are you thinking? How's this landing on you? Yeah. Yeah, and that's a fine line. I agree with you. sometimes in an elevator pitch situation like that, you're just trying to earn the opportunity to get a real conversation. And if you start qualifying too soon, it's like, yeah, so tell me about your business. How much money do you make? How many employees do you have? It's good, dude. Making me trip on stuff. So one more last piece of little love. Is this fun, Joey?
It's great.
Okay, good. Okay. Mm-hmm. Jenny, I just want you to know I appreciate it a lot. Excellent. So we're going to do a vote. Raise your hand if you think Joey is trustworthy. It's a pass-fail test, Joey.
Okay.
And you passed. Congratulations.
One thing that I
Yes.
about the thing is how to create full body yeses.
Mhm.
To have, I went on a date and we were talking about full body yeses, and then I was like thinking about business, and I was like, how can we get our clients to be like a full body yes to working with us? And I realized I didn't think about that coming up. So if I was thinking like, I want you to be a full body yes to talking with me, I probably would have slowed down, would have done many of the things that you mentioned. But I was like, I'm going to say something, I was,
Yeah, I'm going to get my speech out. Yeah. And part of that's the situation here, and I put you on the spot and all that. Yeah.
But, no, it's like to have pause a moment. What is it that I want to have happen? What is it that I want to say in this hallway, in this room, or this whatever? And I realized I have that. Just didn't think of it on the way up. So that's kind of the lesson.
Nice. Round of applause for Joey. Thanks so much. All right. So as you can see, people are all thinking these things when you're speaking. So the more you're aware of it, the more you're gonna be able to make adjustments. And that's part of this. Another promise I made was, how do you read a room when there's no room? This is the biggest frustration people have with virtual at the beginning of the pandemic. They're like, oh yeah, I don't know how to do this. I've been in sales for 30 years. And they come across as boring, flat, uninterested. What happened? Right? It's because you aren't getting the data that you need. So number one is try to get the cameras on. It's just, otherwise it's like an old-fashioned phone conference call. Who remembers those? Yeah, Bruce now entering the room. Like, it's like you have so little to go on. It's just voice. And when the videos are on, you know how you're doing. You get the cameras on. But as you glance down, not at the beginning of the sentence, but somewhere in the middle, and you look at the gallery over there, look for changes. Somebody who just goes, right? Or, what does this mean? What else? I'm thinking about it. What else does it mean? Suspicious. What else does it mean? I'm not sure I trust this guy. My chin really itches, right? We don't know exactly what it means, but it means something, right? So that's the person you check in. Like, hey, Don, haven't talked to you a little bit. What are you thinking, right? I'm just gonna draw him in and see. If you look troubled, I'm not gonna say, wow, you're itching your chin and you look troubled. Talk to us. No, it's just, that's an opportunity to check in with them. Nice, yeah. Get rid of all the interruptions. I've seen that before. It's very, very, very effective. So we're into the speed round now. About 5 minutes to go, and I'm going to introduce a bunch of principles and things. If you have questions, hold them to the end, and please come up and talk to me. I'm not going anywhere. I would love to talk to any of you individually, and also give you the offer that if you want a free home studio tune-up, I will help you with audio, lights, microphone, framing, all of that stuff. Just connect with me. I've done it with some of you in the past. Jenny, remember, she was all propped up with her leg in a cast. We were trying to make her look good. So that's my offer to all of you. So we talked about some of these, the hybrid differences, your posture on camera, eye contact. We've covered all of this, getting people to engage. How you ask for questions matters a lot. In a Zoom meeting, the worst way to ask for questions is, so are there any questions? I'm not on the hook there. No peer pressure there. Like, so I want to hear from all of you now. Just or I want the opportunity for everyone to speak. Let's hear from just 2 or 3 people on how this might work in your environment. Who'd like to start? Now the pressure's on, and then you just stop talking. If you can wait for 7 seconds, I guarantee you somebody will speak up. They'll be so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. 7 seconds is an eternity, I'm telling you. And the other thing I do, I don't have a prop here, is like you have a water bottle. Here we go. All right, so that's the basic part of the story. I want to hear from all of you now. And who'd like to start? That's about 7 seconds. You all laughed twice because you felt how uncomfortable it was, right? Like, oh my God, this is eternity. Somebody will speak up. Try it yourself. That's my unscientific survey. All right. Long-term trust. Here's the speed round. This is, can I continue to count on you? So you passed the test to get the short term, to get a relationship. Now, how do you keep trust as you're going? The key strategy? Earn it. You have to work really hard to maintain it because one little thing can destroy it. Trust is built over a lifetime and ruined in a moment. And you all know it's a pass-fail test. So back to that survey. Here's the 4 things to look at: honesty, integrity, consistency, and courtesy. Anybody know the famous philosopher Catherine Glisson? You shouldn't, because she's my grandmother. 90 years old on her farm in Iowa. And I remember that day she sat me down and said, now, Davey, you're telling lies. And the truth is a lot easier to keep track of. Meaning it's going to get found out. And there's so many more ways for people to pass information, share information, tell other people that they hate you, right? Negative Yelp reviews, So being truthful pays off. So I'm going to give you a quick list of some of the main lies that I heard in my corporate career. It's to be rapid fire, but these are lies people told me and what they really mean. I'm doing top 11, so David Letterman won't sue me. Okay. I'll look into that. What it really means is, I'll look into that, but I'm sure I'll find the same emptiness later that I'm feeling right now. We are currently not planning to do any restructuring after the merger, because that meeting takes place right after the holidays. We will virtualize the process and move it to the cloud for increased efficiency. We're about to remove human beings completely from our customer service process. We all need to pull together and work as a team. Slow down, you're making the rest of us look bad. Let's seize the moment to take advantage of any synergistic opportunities aligned with our key objectives. I have no idea how I got this job as a manager. Please try to look busy. We want to be transparent with all the changes in the organization. It's more like the translucent. Please don't quit until we can lay you off. It is what it is. I aspire to mediocrity and revel in the status quo. Sure, I'll run that up the flagpole so it can be shot down from a higher altitude. We need to socialize that. You ever hear that one? We need to socialize that so we can make sure nobody else agrees with your stupid idea. And the almost number 1, I don't have enough bandwidth to handle your request. Really means you're not high enough in the food chain for me to have to care about you. And number 1, got it. In the recycle bin. So the point of this is that lies will be found out, and next time you need people to trust you, they won't. And I heard all these things. I worked at Cisco for 10 years. You can imagine all the mergers, acquisitions, changing, restructuring, reorganizing. We're not going to make any changes. 6 months later, oh, here come the layoffs, right? It was just repetitive pattern. Got to be truthful. Integrity, doing what you'll say you'll do, right? Who else is a yeser? You have a hard time saying no. Anybody want to admit that? Oh, wow, look, 4 women said it. Just noticing the trend. Wow, that was like on cue. So if you really can't deliver, don't say yes. And I'll tell you, this new boss I got at Cisco once, name was Jill. And I was already overloaded. She came and she's testing, like, I want to add some more projects to your list. And she could see the pain on my face. I was kind of hemming and hawing, like, I'm and she just leaned in and said, David, it's okay to say no. I was like, oh, what a relief, right? Because if you say yes and start missing deadlines and all that, it's worse. It's better to be honest up front and not just agree to everything. Another funny story, the professional speaker that I know, he spends a lot of time in airplanes, hotels. And anytime I'm at the front desk, they don't have my room for me. And he says, well, I need you to bend the rules. They'll always say, well, no, sir, we have a policy against doing this. And he reaches in his pocket, says, well, I have my own policy manual. And it says, if I show up on the day of that you have to give me a room. And he gives it to her. He has a printed policy manual he made of like his own rights, right? And he said the front desk clerks would be like, showing the manager, like, well, he has a policy. It's like, you know, just hilarious. But that's another, this may help some of you who are consultants. Somebody, Margaret, we hired for marketing consulting back at this startup company. And I was the only marketing guy, so I was leaning heavily on her. I kept asking her for more stuff. Can you do more? Can you do more? And like, try to get the scope up. She says, David, I have a personal policy. I don't spend any more than 30% of my total time on any one client. I'm like, oh, well, she has a policy. I'm like, wait a minute, you made that up. But she sticks to it. And that protects her from having people load too much on. That's why I have a policy, no more than, you know, invent your own policy. Yeah, Ginny's like, I like that. You cheat on the golf course, cheat anywhere else, people see you do it. It's just bad. The word will get back around. I think you all know this. People are looking for, do the words match the actions? And finally, in the courtesy and manners department, somebody mentioned this earlier, gratitude. Gratitude. You know, Diane Ployce, do you all know her? Yeah. I referred someone to her business, a good friend of mine. I trusted Diane to give advice to this person who wanted to start a franchise. And they did end up working together. Diane sends me a handwritten thank you note and a little gift card saying, thank you for sending me this person. And do you think I'll do that again? I'll send someone to her. If anyone ever asks about a franchise, boom. So those little touches matter a lot. This is the coffee cup test. This is a recent article, and we're just about to wrap up here. He asks his interviewees if they want coffee. It's like a regular cup, and then brings it into the room, and he watches what they do after the interview. Do they pick it up and take it back and clean it? Do they just leave it there for somebody else? And he just watches, or do they ask at least, you know, what do you want me to do with the coffee? Because that tells me a lot about their level of courtesy to other employees, what kind of team player they'll be. People say it's manipulative, and well, I don't know. I think it's a good test. And finally, just give anybody like nerves just looking at this. Press conference, you've blown it. Damage control, trust is out the window. What do you do? And this you may already be aware of. Apologize, take ownership, and tell them what you're going to do about it. All 3 of those. So apologize, my responsibility, I take full responsibility, and this is what we're going to do to try to correct it. And when the CEO comes out and does this, companies recover. You get defensive, you double down, you deny, those things just spiral downward into a horrible abyss. We are out of time. I went a little bit over time, but again, the invitation here, copy down. I'll send the email back for you, but go ahead and just schedule your meeting with me. Calendly.com/bookdavidgoad, and we'll do a little audiovisual tune-up. I'm going to learn more about your business just so we can have a stronger connection. I want to thank you all for being such a wonderful audience and for trusting me to deliver a keynote had bacon today. Anyway. I'll stick around if anybody has questions or want to talk afterwards. Bruce, back to you.
One more time, David Goad. Fantastic. Yes, David. Trust me, he was really good.